Thank you very much for joining our streaming today, situation sharing about COVID-19 in USA. This is Naomi from Fly, and then today let's welcome Danny from California. Hello,
Hello,
Danny.
hello, Tomomi.
How are
Nice.
you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm good, thank you. So, thank you very much for cooperating with us and sharing your situation today.
Of course. Happy to join this session to just let you guys know everything that's going on in California and COVID-19.
Thank you. That's great. So I think America is kind of like being a country in the world about COVID-19 situation, and then getting about like 4.4 million infected people already. So, and I think California is one of the biggest state which is infected by this COVID-19 situation. So after like March till now, how the situation changed and how is it now?
So it's definitely correct that California has definitely become one of the epicenter of COVID-19. And California, towards the beginning of the whole situation of the whole pandemic, was actually taking care of the situation really well. But as you know, there's been a lot of protest movements and a lot of people who are really trying to get back to work. Unemployment has been skyrocketing within the US. So a lot of people has tendency to not want to stay home, even though there's a global pandemic going on. And towards the beginning of March, our numbers were relatively low and very controllable. But as the months passed by, as more protests happened, as more, I guess, in a way, chaos on the street happened, just people are going to the street more, people are protesting more, and social distancing has been thrown out the window.
Oh, okay.
There's still a lot of people who are very considerate to wear masks on, but then at the same time, you do have the opposite where people think COVID-19 is a hoax, it's made up, it's not real, and they're willing to risk their life to prove that they're right and you're wrong. So the situation has definitely been spiraling, and I think right now California became the epicenter earlier this month. Before it was New York, and then the pandemic spread to Florida, and then now California, particularly the LA County, has one of the highest number of infected rates in the whole United States. So it's definitely been a crazy chapter in everyone's life, I like to say. But there is a lot of information that's going out now. You know, vaccine is being developed. They're towards they're getting closer and closer to the end of the human trial to hopefully a vaccine will be able to be produced by next year. So as we're still going from March till now, there's been a lot of changes and it's unpredictable. That's what I like to say. It's tomorrow could be something good, great happen. The number of cases could drop, or it could go back up a little bit. It's really up to the community to decide how they want this situation to end up in a way.
Wow. Okay. So, how is the life like? What kind of measure your government takes for your you for to limit your life or like save your life?
Right now, the government has definitely been struggling internally to
Okay.
just figure out what is the right thing to do for the public. You know, people are unemployed, and a lot of people are going through financial issues. And the first thing that the government did when the whole COVID-19 happened was right away they were trying to figure out a stimulus package for the whole nation. And the stimulus package, I'm not sure if you read about it, but it was about 1,200 US dollars for all taxpayers
Wow.
in the nation. And it was a direct deposit, it's not taxable. And the receivers can choose how they would like to spend the money. And the whole goal of the stimulus package was to just basically is to basically hold the economy together without it crumbling apart. Because once all the companies shut down, not a lot of companies were still functioning other than
Yes.
essential workers, and a lot of business owners were actually filing bankruptcy because when everyone's staying home, no one's able to go out to purchase their products, and no one is able to go out to work or earn a living wage for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So the first step the government did was to figure out the stimulus package. And as the government here is quite complex, there's been different ways that they've been trying to help. So stimulus package would be one. The next thing the Federal Reserve also try to do is slash interest rate close to basically almost 0%.
Mm.
So people will be able to take out loans easier.
Yes.
Businesses will be able to also apply for those loans to keep their business afloat. Unemployment also went up a little bit, so people will be eligible to get unemployment checks if their position was affected by COVID-19. So you have the stimulus package on top of unemployment wage
Mm-hmm.
to just keep people going, keep people within their homes without getting evicted. And speaking of eviction, they also mandated that for 90 days, landlords are not allowed to evict their tenants if they miss rent. So that was another protection they put into place to just everyone keep them home
going their life.
and have money in their pockets to buy food. So that's really good. And they're still arguing right now in a way because we have House of Democrats and we have I'm blanking on my pretty much Democrat and Republicans talking it out for the second stimulus check now. So that's in progress, and hopefully we'll see it soon. So that's another round of checks for everyone to just be able to buy food, pay rent, pay their bills, whatever they need.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So, for example, in Japan, like before, we all go to the office at the same time, and you have seen all the jam trains, right? But
yes.
We now starting to do remote working and going to office randomly, not at the same time, but flex time. So how is in America?
In America, it's definitely pretty much the same situation.
Okay.
I was lucky enough to be in a company who actually allowed remote work, and we were able to transition into remote work pretty quickly. We saw that COVID-19 was a potential threat back in March when it first touched land in the U.S. We saw that the disaster it caused in China, it caused in Italy.
Yeah.
So we thought ahead, and we put in a business continuity plan to just basically to keep functioning outside the office, and we don't have to be in office. But other companies, unfortunately, weren't as lucky. There was a lot of companies such as manufacturing. They don't really have the wide open space or the advanced technology to actually work at home because you can't really bring a manufacturer into a house to be able to produce products.
Right.
So being in California, the lucky thing is there's a lot of tech industry here. So a lot of tech companies were able to take their job home. And so far, a lot of manufacturers and other non-tech workers, what their company has been doing is pretty much the same as Japan, where they split up the shifts into different periods of the week. So you have wave 1 come in for 2 weeks, and then the wave 2. Now this does mean their hours will be cut, but then those cut hours will be covered by the government under their unemployment wages. So they will still have some money coming into pocket, and companies will be able to slowly reopen until they can have a better social distancing protocol put into place. And then hopefully once the numbers go down enough, more companies will be able to open. And currently we only have the essentials such as food, hospitals, auto, and anything that you need to just basically live your life or be able to live your life comfortably.
Okay. So regarding to the live your life in essential things, going to supermarket, do you have any limits?
Supermarkets definitely had its limit. When COVID-19 first started, all the supermarket required. So the occupancy was the first thing to go down completely. You weren't allowed. I don't know the exact numbers, but for instance, you can't have the same amount of people in the store as before. They
Okay.
actually made you wait outside to basically, I think you can only have 50 people at a time in a massive grocery market.
Mm.
Only about 50 people in. And at first, they did not require you to wear a mask, but now they do. You have to have a mask and you cannot bring your own bag. That was the next interesting
Wow.
thing, where California is really big on recycle. So we have our own grocery bags,
Yes.
our own reusable grocery bag, but those were banned. So now you have to wait in line, wear a mask, and somehow get your groceries, a large amount of groceries from your cart to your car without a bag.
Mm.
So some markets were gracious enough to actually offer you a bag for free, but unfortunately there are other markets that are struggling and they actually charge you for a plastic bag,
Okay.
which is, yeah, but that capacity limit was lifted after we saw the numbers started going down around May and June. But unfortunately, once July came about, that number just went straight back up, and supermarkets had to implement the same thing again. We're at 30, maybe 35 people capacity now at certain places, and that would be one of the big things that affected a lot of grocery and everyday errand run shoppings for essential needs.
Okay. And I think wearing mask was not a habit for your for your country. In Japan, it's really kind of like very like popular and it's kind of known thing. But is it acceptable? Was it acceptable for you?
For me personally, I really have the mindset of just if I'm ever sick, I will want to be considerate of other people. I don't want to spread any viruses or any germs I might have to other people. So I would actually wear a mask commonly, especially in public areas, buses, trains, and airplanes, just to be considerate of other people. But at the same time, when I sleep, I don't want people to see that I'm asleep.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
will cover my face just for a little more security as well. But general public here is not very open to the idea of mask. There's been a lot of reports of people, news article of people saying they can't breathe, they have asthma, and the mask stops them from breathing. So it hasn't been openly accepted wearing a mask, but within my area, which is Northern California in the Bay Area, they're pretty acceptable of it. You'll still have one or two stragglers who don't want to wear a mask. So
Okay.
when the store requires them to wear a mask, they'll put their shirt over their face and their mask. Yeah, which, I mean, it doesn't act the same, but they just want to get into the store and get out by following the policies. Yeah. And I do feel very gracious to a lot of the store employees because they have run into a lot of confrontations to people who will be very aggressive if they do not let you into the store. If the store does not let them in because they won't wear a mask, they would escalate the situation. Thanks to the general public, a lot of community members would defend the employees, saying they're doing the right thing at least to slow the spread of COVID-19, which is great. So I'm really grateful for a lot of the essential workers out there who actually wants to protect the community.
Okay. And if you don't wear some like masks or if you don't like follow the rules, do you have to like pay money or like do you have any punishment?
There is a lot of enforcement, but within the whole United States, especially in San Francisco. But with the term enforcement, they did set a fine in place, but the agenda for the police was more to educate the people than to actually fine the people. Recently, the first county that actually implemented the fines officially was Napa County, which is a little bit north of San Francisco. they had the same policy as San Francisco before, where they told the public that there will be a fine, but they didn't actually fine the people. They actually just gave them a warning and told
Okay.
them to go home and put on the mask and come back out. But recently, it hasn't been working out that well. So actually, a couple of days ago, Napa County was one of the first county to actually officially say they will start fining people if they do not wear a mask when they're out in the public, and the fine ranges from anywhere $150 to maybe $300.
Okay. So it's being like a little more strict
Yeah,
than
they're
before.
definitely getting more strict just because Napa County went from maybe 4 cases to no cases and officially reopened completely, and then the cases spiked out of nowhere. So they really wanted to be sure that they can open again, but open in a safe environment.
Okay. So in Japan, the restaurants and bars are like kind of like strictly limited. For now, it's kind of like being open, and then the number of the infected people are increasing right now. So how is it in America? Do you have any limits for like restaurants and bars?
So
Places?
restaurant and bars definitely were closed completely.
Closed? Really?
From the beginning of March till probably a month ago, they were
Okay.
completely closed.
Wow.
And it's been a lot of push to reopen the restaurants. So the county and the state actually itself figured out offered a solution to all the the restaurant owners and the bar owners. And that was pretty much, you can open the store only for takeouts at first. And then they loosen up the regulations a little bit more, where you can order takeout and you can eat there now, but the restaurant has to be able to offer outdoor dining, where there's open air, and you can only eat with people within your same household. So if you decide to meet with several friends at a restaurant, the restaurants do have a right to decline their services because you're not part of the same household, just to follow county orders. And for bars, the restriction has definitely gotten a lot lighter, where some places let you order alcohol to go, and they will even allow or offer the option of giving you a really big wine bottle. They call it a growler.
Growler, okay.
I don't know why, but it's like a giant wine bottle.
Okay.
Sanitize it for you, and then they'll fill it up for you. It's completely full, and you're talking about maybe 2 liters.
How much?
For $10.
So you can bring it home and having a little party there.
Exactly. You can bring it home. You can drink for 3-4 days, and then you can go back, and then they will take your bottle again.
And they will refill.
For $10.
Wow.
So there's a lot of innovation with a lot of restaurants. They're really thinking of different ideas to keep their bars open and afloat, because they need the income. So figure out really smart ways to let people still get what they want, but in a safe environment at least. Yeah, and a great deal. $10 for 2 liters of beer. That's great.
Wow. It's very important to adjust each situation, and then you change their like business.
Right. Yeah, I think it's really important for people to just adapt and survive instead of just waiting for things to get better. Because when you wait for things to get better, you really do have to have the joint thinking and thought of the entire nation instead of just a few people. A few people might be able to make a change, but it's not until everybody changes that the situation will get better, until the situation will get better.
Right. So the next question is like regarding to the travel inside of the United States, can you actually go to the other states?
So they have definitely been trying to ban certain travels by for instance, certain states have been putting travel bans from specific epicenter cities, such as initially from New York. If some states actually ban flights from New York because New York has such a large amount of cases going back last month.
Mm.
But I do not know if they're still currently enforcing that. But what we've seen is definitely they have not banned any travels within the United States. What they have done is pretty much telling each passenger, each traveler to, if you have been to any of these specific cities, you will have to self-quarantine at home for at least 14 days
Wow.
before going. Yeah,
Even
because
go to
that's
the other states. Wow.
any state. And because a lot of people has been looking out for the cheap airline tickets right now,
Yes.
just because the industry is really at the close to the bottom. So they're trying to take this opportunity to travel, but I feel like it's great. You're shopping for a deal, but also not so great when you're exposing yourself
Mm.
and other people to COVID-19.
Okay. How is the public transportation? Is it train and planes all going well?
So public transportation has definitely also the same thing. They have cut a lot of time between each bus. Before you had a wait time of maybe 15 minutes per bus, and now it's roughly around 30 minutes to 45 minutes for each bus, just because there aren't as much people taking public transportation anymore. And to keep all the infrastructure running, it costs a lot of money from the local government. So they decide to cut the hours shorter, cut the rides to less rides, just because there's not as much people on the buses, on the trains. Flights, I'm not too sure, because I think flights are still okay. There was a full plane that was flying into New York.
Okay.
And everyone had a mask. Because I forgot to mention, airlines now mandate you to have a mask. If you're not wearing a mask, you will be ejected from the plane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
yeah, but
yeah.
planes kind of like, airplanes kind of like very like, jammed place and a closed place. So it's really scary, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, traveling by plane is definitely scary just because you have so many people close to you. And airlines have ensured a lot of travelers that their filters are actually built to filter out any kind of viruses or particles in the air. But at the same time, they also deny the middle seat for anybody to provide some sort of social distancing while you're on the plane. So if you were to pick the middle aisle of the plane where there's 3 seats, they'll block the middle seats where no one can sit, and you have left and you have the right
to make the space.
Yeah, to make that social distancing work.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have mask, filter, and slight social distancing.
Okay, great. So it's been like a long time about like COVID-19 situation, and I think people are like so tired about the situation. So are the people like okay with this situation, or they're like kind of like adapted this situation?
I would like to say people are definitely getting adjusted, and they're getting used to this whole work from home situation. And it's been 4 months now, close to going on to the 5th month possibly. People just staying at home. Our companies actually delayed our return back to office just because they've seen this is the new normal now. People are staying home, they're staying safe, productivity is still there, and we've gotten used to the routine of just every time we go out, put on our mask, bring hand sanitizer, and just stay away from crowded areas. So we've gotten into the routine of just doing things like this now.
Okay.
And it feels like it's almost our everyday, because we're at home. We don't really notice what day it is because every single day is the same setting.
Yes.
So people get a little tired, but we find ways to just entertain ourselves at home at least. I would say this is as close to the new normal as we can get. Yeah.
New normal, yes.
Yeah, this is the new normal. A lot of people learning how to cook for the first time ever. people who never cooked before and ate out. My coworker told me she's been cooking for close to a year now. Once the COVID-19 is over, she's not going to cook for a year. She's just going to eat out every single day
Wow.
because she was forced to learn how to cook.
So
Yeah.
maybe people are getting more healthier actually.
There's both. There's both, surprisingly. So there are people who are at home and they cook nonstop to pass the time, to try to figure out, to just try to get to the end of the day, and by staying busy. So they cook a lot. And one of my friends, she brought maybe 3 bags of food within a month because she had too much food at home that she cooked, and she distributed to all of her friends. She showed up with a mask, glove, and a little bag, and just told us make sure we heat it up in the oven before we even eat it. Just put it into your own trays, put it in your own containers to make sure nothing's on
You
it.
don't have the virus, yes.
Yeah. So, and then she gained a little. I shouldn't say female gain anyway, but like, for instances, there are other people who has gained weight, and then other people who has lost weight because they don't have access to company food anymore, for example. So instead of eating 3 meals a day, they end up eating only 1 meal because they don't want to cook. They don't want to go out to buy groceries, or they can only afford to order 1 meal a day. So it's I would say it's both. There are people gaining weight, but there's people losing weight at the same time.
Okay. Yeah. I'm like, I see some like stories on Instagram of my some of friends of mine, and then like some of them like get completely improving their cooking skills. That was really fun to see.
Yeah, I mean, people get really creative. One of my friends started making chips at home.
Chips at home, that's nice.
Potato chips, and then
healthier.
Yeah, exactly. And I have actually finished 3 big containers of oatmeal. They're about this big each.
Okay.
2.5 pound each, and I finished 3 of those. And before COVID-19, I barely ate any oatmeal. And now it's easy. Just pour water, put a little raisin and blueberry, and it's breakfast.
That's sweet.
I still want to stay healthy. I don't want to eat fried chicken for breakfast. I mean, it sounds really good, but I won't feel good later.
Okay, so could you tell me some like creative example of like people being creative during this COVID-19 situation?
By creatives,
like I have seen like like Americans like idols and like artists trying to do like Zoom or online concerts, events, lives like that.
Yeah, so I mean, when everything first started, the first thing on everyone's mind for a lot of companies and tech was, how do we keep the spirit of all the coworkers, of the whole team up?
Oh, okay.
And we did everything from movie nights where we all go on Zoom and we all someone will broadcast a movie and we'll just watch the movie together and have little comments. Everyone will decorate a whole table full of snacks and drinks to just kind of show like this is the luxury movie watching style right now. And then once we moved past that, the next idea we had was game nights. We were able to find a lot of online entertainment that, for example, board games, trivia, charades, and drawing, where we try to guess what they're drawing, or we try to guess the word they're acting out. And it's a lot of fun to be able to yell at someone without any repercussions online, and especially when you still get to interact with other people, and you're not just sitting in front of a computer screen with no interaction with other people. You're still talking with your teammates. You're still playing games, and sometimes too, a little thoughtful thing I've seen is some people have been ordering food for other people, and the food will show up at the door. They get a knock on the door, and it's a little present for
Eh,
to show like, oh, we appreciate everything you guys been doing.
that's
Here's
sweet.
a little treat. Here's lunch on us. So
Eh,
we try to be kind to each other still, just to support everyone in this time. And I feel like that's really helped the mentality of everyone staying at home because they can, they can see that they're not alone in this and other people are still thinking about them.
okay.
Yeah, so that's a really good way to keep
Yeah.
spirit up.
Are those stories actually what you did as manager to your team?
So we do have games on Friday every morning instead of
Every morning?
every Friday morning
Eh,
after a long week. I'll cast my screen, and I hate to admit it, but based on my gaming chair, I play a lot of games. So I have a lot of games for my team to pick from, and they can choose whatever they want. I'll cast it up, and one of the games, for example, is defusing a bomb, and they will have to yell at me. So in return, they have to yell at me now to try to tell me how to defuse the bomb based on the puzzle, or they have to play a trivia game with me or find Waldo. We did find Waldo also at one of the weeks, and there is really no winner, no loser. It's just bragging rights in the end. They can say they beat the whole team, and then that'll be like our little pick me up at the end of the week to make sure they go into the weekend relax and be ready to come back to work next week, so we can just be a really tight bonding team. Hopefully we can get back into the office soon so we can actually have a party.
Yeah. That's really nice. People like in Japan maybe generally what's on the table of discussion about like remote working is the how to manage the task and schedule. Not for like mentality or like in the the mm, comfortable like stuff of the mentality among the team. So that is very important, I think, to care about the team's atmosphere.
Yeah, that especially one of the challenge at being at home and working is you don't have a clock or someone telling you it's time to take a break or it's time to take your lunch. And a lot of company has been seeing an increase of work hours from, well, in the United States, our average work hour is around 8 hours, but now they're seeing an average around 10 hours.
Wow, longer.
And sometimes you need to tell them to step away from the computer.
Okay.
We know how, but at least don't look at the computer, just go outside and walk a little bit and just come back. And if you ever need a one-on-one session to just discuss what's on your mind about work or not about work, we're always open to talk to them. Okay. And just provide that mental support that you were mentioning to the team.
That's really nice. Thank you for sharing about that. Yeah, okay. So regarding to the about the future plan or like future prediction, you told us that it's unpredictable. So, but what by when do you think the COVID-19 situation would be like a little like calm down and be nice?
Well, I'm not a doctor or someone who really has a good insight of how the virus is doing, but how I see the future of COVID-19 is pretty much the vaccine may come out by early spring of next year. And that will only treat or give you a slight immunity. What I read was you'll have to take 2 shots per month, basically build up some kind of immunity against the virus. COVID-19 might actually become the new normal thing, where it forces the pharmaceutical and the medical industry to find new ways and new guidelines for people to increase their immune system to better their health, so that when they actually do catch COVID-19 in the future and they don't have a vaccine in their body will still be able to defend against the virus. Now, this virus is definitely very almost deadly, I would say, because of the transmission rate is so fast.
Mm.
And right now, the mortality rate is around 2%. So every 100 people that catches COVID-19, 2 people will unfortunately pass away from the virus. So the medical industry can develop some kind of cure or medicine to prevent this virus a little bit or to help you fight it. But I think in the long run, in the future, COVID might just become the next common thing around that we have to live with, and we just have to be more considerate of, for example, when you're sick, wear a mask. Don't go outside, stay at home so you can recover and other people won't get sick because you're being around them.
Okay.
And yeah.
So the life won't go to back into normal, but it's gonna be like a new normal, new life, new world.
I really do think it will become like that. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll go back to normal, like at a very slow pace. A year, 2 year, 3 years maybe down the line, but I don't see everyone going completely back to normal for years down the line, just because operation can become normal in an instant because all you're doing is changing your strategy or changing your work office. But the mentality, the mental state of people will always have in the back of the mind. You hear a cough and you might think that person has COVID-19, and that mentality won't go away until it is just so embedded into our normal life that it doesn't bother us anymore. Yeah. So right now you're still bothered by it, but maybe 5 years down the line it won't bother you anymore.
Okay.
So that's kind of my outlook on it.
Great, thank you very much for sharing that. So to close this interview, please give all the what your audience in the world. Please give us the positive cheering up messages.
Yeah, definitely. So COVID-19 is something that happened to the world that was very unexpected for everybody, but what happens now is pretty much it gives everyone an opportunity to change, an opportunity to better yourself. Everyone might be at home, but that doesn't mean that you won't able to learn new skills, pick up new experience in life, and just figure out the next step in what to do in your life to advance your career, advance your skills, rebuild old friendships that you might have lost in the past. And it's a really great opportunity to have all that time now that you never used to. No one likes sitting in traffic for an hour just to go to work to make money. Money will only buy you time, but not buy you the happiness of just interacting with other people for once in your life, to just get away from work, talk to people, have some fun with it, and just keep adapting, keep changing, and then the future is up to you how you want to live it. You want to live a happy life, then go and make that happy life happen.
Okay.
Yeah,
thank you very much for your very strong and happy message and sharing your situation in United States. Okay, so thank you very much for watching our interview. Please keep safe and keep healthy. And
yes.
And I see you again soon. Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.